Peace is with you, geometry students. Here is some good review which would be useful for our upcoming quiz this week. We'll be having it either Thursday or Friday of this week. It's on page 123 as I have assigned you, or as I plan to assign you, and it's numbers 1 through 4. Let's go ahead now and just trust God to give us good insight as to these main three properties that we'll be using in proofs. Numbers 1, 2, and 3, these are the instructions. Match the statement with the property that it illustrates. Number 1, if segment HJ is congruent to segment LM, then segment LM is congruent to segment HJ. Okay, let's just go ahead and write that out. If segment HJ is congruent to segment LM, then segment LM is congruent to segment HJ. I feel very confident that many of you, or all of you, would know that this is a switching them around, and this is a symmetric property. Symmetric property. And when you do your proof, I'd like you to write it out at least like this symmetric property. Let's go ahead and look at number 2. Number 2 says if angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 and angle 2 is congruent to angle 4, then angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. So here we go. If angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 and angle 2 is congruent to angle 4, then angle 1 and angle 4 are congruent. Again, I'll be very surprised if any of you don't realize that this is our transitive property. Transitive. And here's a way you could remember this. When you've got 3 items involved, angle 1, angle 2, and angle 4, then that's a transitive property, okay? 3 items or 3 entities involved, like the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, that's the transitive. People talk about the Trinity as well, the transitive property. All right, and finally, the third one says angle XYZ is congruent to itself. Looking in a mirror, who do you see? See a reflection of yourself, correct? So here comes the reflexive property. And again, I'd like you to write it like that. You are the same as yourself. 7 is the same as 7. 9 is the same as 9. All right, let's take a look at the more challenging aspect of your quiz. That would be your number 4. It says write a 2-column proof. So we're going to write a 2-column proof. And I'd like you to just dig your heels in now and trust God that you can understand this and understand it well. A 2-column proof. And here's what we're given. We're given that angle XWY is a straight angle. Angle XWY is a straight angle. That's the thing I like about lines, of straightness, which symbolizes just the uprightness and the integrity of the Lord. So here it is, XWY a straight angle, and that should tell us something. I'm sure you're thinking 180 degrees, correct? Are we given anything else? Yes, we're given that angle ZWV. So we're given two things here. ZWV is also a straight angle, is a straight angle. I forgot my angle here. I'll write it in now. Angle. And here the same angle. So I'll just go ahead and do the same here. Angle ZWV. Let's do it over here. This is a straight angle as well. We're required to prove by logical statements and reasons that angle XWV, this one right here, XWV, I'm going to give it a double arc here, is congruent to angle ZWY. Angle ZWY. Here it comes. ZWY would be right here. And usually what happens is if you mark your diagram properly, even before you write one statement or reason, you can see what you want to prove is in fact true. And I'm sure many of you are just shouting, yes, I see that. Those are vertical angles. Yes, they are. But we're required to prove it. So let's go ahead and set up our statements and reasons and do this. Okay? So here I go. I'm going to put my statements here on the left column and reasons on the right. Statements. Left column, reasons in the right column. All right, what's going to be our first statement? I'm sure you know. It will be the given information. So we write angle X, WY, and angle Z, WV are straight angles. I've just combined them together. Straight angles. And I'm sure you know the reason here would be given. All right? Statement number 2 will not be given. And what I know is I want to get this angle here called XWV and this angle ZWV involved in what I'm doing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and name this angle here, which I'll give the 3 arcs. I'm going to name this as angle 1. Angle 1. So here's my thinking. I'm going to say this angle here, which is angle XWV plus angle 1, is equal to 180 degrees. Again, this angle, angle XWV, plus this angle, since they're on this line XY, they're equal to 180 degrees. So here I go, measure of angle XWV plus measure of angle 1 is equal to 180 degrees. I wonder if you could think of what the reason for that would be. Well, if we got a straight angle here, we know it's 180. So if we add these two up, this angle plus this one, we get 180. We could call that the angle addition postulate. Angle addition postulate. We could also say that these are linear pairs, that the angle XWV and angle 1 form a linear pair. So we could say a linear pair of angles are supplementary. Either way, we could go with that one. Similarly now, I'm going to look at line ZV. Line ZV, and I'll take this angle, which is angle ZWY, plus angle 1 in a similar way to what I just did. So here I go, measure of angle ZWY. I think I just said V, it should angle ZWY plus measure of angle 1 is also equal to 180. These two angles here again, ZWY plus measure of angle 1, they're on this line, 180, and we could say angle addition postulate, or we could say a linear pair of angles are supplementary. Either way. So now, watch carefully as we finish this off with a couple more steps. We've got that all this cluster is equal to 180, and we've got this cluster as well is equal to, oops, didn't get all of it. All this cluster is 180. Okay, so I can say since this is equal to 180 and this is equal to 180, then these must be equal to each other. Or I can say since A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A and C must be equal to each other. Okay? Again, if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A and C must be equal to each other. So here's my fourth statement. Measure of angle, I'm gonna need more room here, XWV plus measure of angle 1 must be equal to the measure of this right here of angle ZWY plus measure of angle 1. My reason I'm going to put here is, what do you think? Transitive property. Transitive property. All right? Now I'll tell you what the next step is, because I'm going to go to the next page. I'm going to subtract measure of angle 1 from this left hand side and measure of angle 1 from this right hand side, and then I'll be left with measure of angle XWV equals measure of angle ZWY. Okay? So here we go. Let me just rewrite what we had. Measure of angle XWZ plus measure of angle 1 is equal to measure of angle, I'm going to have to go back there to look at it. It's actually measure of angle XWV. I'll correct that. Measure of angle ZWY. should be V. Over here, ZWY plus measure of angle 1. And as I said, I'm going to subtract the measure of angle 1 from both sides. And that leaves me measure of angle XWV equals measure of angle ZWY. Those are gone. I'll just go back to verify that this is correct. XWV, ZWY. And here's what I want this to be my last line. The last line of my proof should be my proof statement. Okay, I'm not quite there yet because here I want to have congruent to, on the other page I have equal to, but there's only one step remaining. So let's go back and look at it. Continuing with our proof here, this will be my last statement. I think this will be my fifth statement here. Since the measure of angle XWV is equal to the measure of angle ZWY, I can then write angle XWV is congruent to, not equal to now. Note the difference. This is equal to, this is congruent to angle ZWY. The reason will be definition of angle congruence. Again, it will be definition of angle congruence. So here I go. Reason number 5, definition of angle congruence. You say, what does that mean? Well, I'll explain. If two angles are congruent, then they're equal. Conversely, if two angles are equal, then they're congruent. Okay? This right here is my proof statement, so I need not go any further. As I probably mentioned to you in class, when lawyers are in court, once they've proven their case, they don't go any further. So this will be the last statement. Okay? So let's go back and make sure we've got it right here now. Too far. Yes. Angle XWV is congruent to angle ZWY. That's my last statement. Okay? I want to encourage you to look at this, replay it as you have need to, and make sure you've got it down. Alright? I've given you some practice. Make good use of that practice, and God guide you and give you insight as you prepare yourselves for this quiz.